Hello everyone. In this video, I would like to discuss how I use the automated mutual fund portfolio and financial goal tracker to track my own financial goals. Now, when you open the sheet for the first time, it can be pretty daunting because it's got so many tabs and it's very difficult to get a handle on it for quite a while. So I'm going to discuss just a few basic tabs, how to use them. The first is the inputs tab. This can be used for SIPs that are ongoing or ones that you closed in the past. So the first step would be to type just a couple of letters of the scheme, and then when you do it, this drop down will populate and it will tell you which one you can choose, and you can choose one of that, and you can give this particular entry some kind of a nickname that you like. I have given HDFC midcap. Please note that I do not hold HDFC midcap opportunities. This is only for illustration. Uh, then you need to enter the SIP amount and the first ever transaction date. So when you register for an SIP, you'll have to pay some money upfront, and that the day on which that transaction was effected is entered here. The date of the SIP or the second transaction that you made is entered here. This could be let's say the 20th of the next month. I've written November here, but so if you start an SIP in November, the first SIP would be from the next month. The 20th would be the SIP date, and it would be from the December of the next month from which you started it. So, and if it's ongoing or if it's closed, you can enter that here. And once you click it, you will be all the SIP transactions will be calculated, and you will be taken straight away to the summary sheet. So this is the main dashboard in which you can have an overview of all the holdings. I have some example mutual fund holdings here. These are all SIPs, and you can see the total investment, the current value, the return, and the fund holdings and the type of investment, etc. You'll get used to it as you use the sheet. I don't want to dwell on each topic here. Now, if you go to the goal tracker, in here you can assign a financial goal to each of the holding. For example, retirement or child's education. You can list the goals on the top here, and you can see them in the drop down here and assign it. In this tracker, you cannot assign the same goal to multiple funds. Well, it's possible to do it, but it's kind of messy, so I didn't design it that way. But there is another Google spreadsheet developed by friends in which this is possible. So if you have the same fund for multiple goals, you can use that sheet. But I don't do that. I have separate portfolios. I don't recommend doing that, but that's what I do, and this sheet works well for me. So that's the goal tracker. And I also have something called the goal analysis, and this is what I'll be talking about today. Not exactly this sheet, but let me get to that. So in the goal analysis sheet, there are two types of goal planners. On the first two columns, A and B, you have the retirement. There's a standard retirement calculator. And on the columns to the right, you have the goal planners for goals 2, 3, 4, 5. They can have multiple goals. You can choose a goal from here. For example, you can choose child's education from here, and so on. Now, when you do that, when you choose a goal, the current equity holding or the mutual fund holding will be updated here. This is only for I have done for equity, but if you have debt funds also, you can add them. This is a current holding, and you can update the goal automatically. So it will tell you in real time what is the amount required. This is a useful tool because it tells me how much I need to invest at the end of each month, each year, and so on. And I also know what is the current future value every time I look at my portfolio, and I also know what is the current value. So it gives me a sense of how much my goal is complete. As the investment amount decreases, I know that I'm heading closer and closer to the goal. So that's a good sign. Now, in the retirement tab, this is a very simple retirement calculator, and I recommend I recommend this for people who are many years from retirement, young earners. And in this, you will see two entries which are of interest to me. it will tell you that if you were to retire today, how long the corpus will last, and it's like 0.85 years, so it means that you cannot retire today. And if you were to retire as intended, let's say at age 55 or age 60, then the corpus will last for 5 years. Corpus lasting means that you can generate an inflation indexed income, or an income that matches inflation every year for about 5 years. So these are key indicators. And people ask me why I use Excel for tracking. Now these kind of insights are not available, as far as I know, in online portfolios, and that's where the Excel comes in. And DIY investors with basic Excel knowledge can adapt this Excel sheet or the Google spreadsheet as has been done in whatever way they want, and they can get these additional insights which the standard programs and standard softwares or packages do not offer. So this is what I would keep a tab on. So for example, when this entry becomes 25 and you want to retire at 55, it means from age 55 for the next 25 years you can be financially secure. So that's a pretty healthy portfolio to be in. Now, this is all that I have to say about the basic tracker. I don't want to dwell into all the details, then it will become a very long video. Now, what I would like to discuss today is how you can add two separate calculators into this. So I have provided two add-on files as part of this post, and you can use them. The first one is a PPF tracker add-on. This is a tracker that's separately available in the site, but I've made some modifications so that it can be inserted into the mutual fund tracker. So here you can enter the account opening date, and it will calculate the maturity date for you. You can immediately, even if your PPF account is 5 years or 6 years old, you can simply set the balance as on March 31st of 2017, let's say, and it will tell you these are the it'll start calculating from the next financial year, or the current financial year rather, 2017 2018. So you can, for every month, you can, if you're investing every month, you can either say you invested before 5th or after 5th and enter the amount and the current interest rate for every quarter that can be inserted, or you can put in a single lump sum as well. But it would be better to update the interest rates as it changes. So this will give you the year-end balance, and the current year-end balance is given in yellow here. So you can use this for tracking the calculations that you do. There are two uh, trackers here. They are identical sheets, PPF1 and PPF2. So you can use them, and I can show you how to insert this. So to do this, you can go to PPF1 here. You can just say move or copy to book automated mutual fund tracker, and you can put it any way you want. I'll say I just want it to be before inputs. Don't click create a copy, leave this alone. So you're just going to shift it. It would take a while, and it might ask you, it would say that there are some names which are available already. You simply click yes to it, it doesn't matter. It's going to take a little while here. There it is. So that's PPF tracker 1. So now I can simply go to the summary sheet, scroll over here, and I can say PPF account 1, and I can go here and say equal to, go to the PPF sheet and enter this equal to that, and so that number will come there. So that's my current balance. So I have my equity holdings here, or my other debt fund holdings here. I have PPF. Now I have not inserted any kind of asset allocation here. I kind of assumed that most of the funds will be equity. That is not the case for some people. So you can um, say some funds are equity, some funds are debt, and so on, and have your own asset allocation in this area so that it gives you a clear picture. These are simple Excel calculations that anybody can do. So that's how you can add the PPF tracker add-on. So now that's part of the sheet. Now there's another tracker as well. You can add it, PPF2 tracker. That's also okay. That also can be inserted in a similar way. Now, what I would like to talk about now is the second kind of retirement calculator. Let me go to the inputs here. Um, this is for early retirement or for people who are very close to retirement. Before I forget, let me just change this to red now so that I don't have problems while inserting. Now, in this retirement calculator, the unique feature is that I assume that the corpus, I'll go to this page. I'll assume that the corpus is being invested in 3 or 4 different buckets. Each bucket will have different investments or different risks involved. So, for example, if I say that I'm going to be retired for 25 years or 30 or 40 years, whatever, let's say 25, then I will put some amount of the corpus in one bucket, and I'm going to call that bucket 0. For 10 years, I'll generate a return of 7% from that bucket. And for the first 10 years in retirement, this bucket is going to give me an inflation protected income. It's completely safe. There's no risk involved. Then I'm going to put some amount of money in another bucket, bucket 1, and this is intended to be for 10 years. I'm going to have a little bit of equity for it, and I'm going to expect a return of 9%. Some amount of equity will be there, some amount of fixed income will be there, and I'm going to create a third bucket, and this is for 5 years. This will have a little more amount of equity so that the net portfolio return is about 10%. The idea is buckets 1 and 2 will grow untouched, more or less untouched, for the first 10 years. So for the first 10 years, I will use bucket 0, and as and when I get a good amount of profit in bucket 1 and 2, I can transfer some money in bucket 0, or towards the end of 10th year, I can start withdrawing money from bucket 1 and 2 and start putting it in bucket 0 and draw a safe income from that, and so on. So these kind of dynamic processes can be, I have a simulator for that. That's a bucket strategy simulator. You can play a game with that. But this is a simple calculator that tells you for a fixed return, what is the kind of money you need to put in for each bucket. And there's a detailed post on this, so I don't want to talk too many things here. It will confuse you. So you can look at the link in the main post. So it gives you the amount needed for different buckets, and it tells you the total corpus required for the for putting money into all the buckets. Now, typically for people who are close to retirement, or for people who have quite a bit of corpus already accumulated, this kind of retirement calculation will result in a more accurate estimation of the corpus and will also result in a lower monthly investment necessary. So I would prefer this when I have some amount of corpus with me. If the corpus is not too much, if I'm just starting out, then the previous sheet I just showed you is good enough. But this is what I will recommend for people who are close to early retirement. Now, if you go back to the RITCAL sheet, the years to retirement is 23. Now, what I do is I kind of play around with this. So for if my retirement is 23 years away, I can scroll down and it tells me that I need to invest something like 9,300 rupees each month. Excuse me. I need to invest about 9,300 every month. Sorry about that. Uh, Now I'm going to reduce this, let's say, by 5. So I'm going to say my years to retirement is 18, and then so I'm going to retire in 18 years instead of 23, and then this means that the monthly investment is now increased to 15,700. So from 9,300, if I can invest 15,700, I can afford to retire 5 years earlier. All right. So now I'm going to try something different. Now I'm going to put this as I'm going to fool around with this a little bit. I'm going to make this 22, I think. Okay, 22. Let me make it 22.9. Just some index which is just subtracting here. So it now says the years to retirement is just zero point 0.1. This means that practically I'm going to retire in the next month or next couple of months or so. Now if I scroll down, if I want to retire in the next month, I would need to invest 52 lakhs 56,247. That's of course absurd. But if I have an accumulated corpus which is significant, for example, if my current equity investment is, let's say, 60 lakhs, and my tax-free debt, let's say EPF, is 40 lakhs, that's my accumulated sum. Now you can see that the net corpus to be accumulated becomes negative. That means I don't need to accumulate anything, and the monthly investment becomes zero, right? So you notice that uh, this kind of calculator, I can use it to dynamically check how my monthly investment is changing, and as I keep reducing the years to retirement, how it's increasing, and as my corpus increases, as my how this is decreasing, hopefully, and so on. So this is a sheet in which you can fool around with this, and if you insert this calculator into the portfolio tracker, you can simply take the value of current equity investments and set it to the value from the tracker, and then this value of EPF PPF you can enter manually, or you can set it to the value from the tracker. So if you do this, these are simple steps that anybody can do. If you can set this up, then then in one shot you can get an idea. Every time you open the portfolio Excel file and update it, you get a holistic idea of where you are with respect to your return. So let me just show you how to shift this the same way. So I'll just put it before inputs, shift it. It's going to ask you this, just say yes, it's not a problem. Too many of these numbers I like using these labels. Is not a good way to do Excel uh, programming, but then I just got used to doing this. This is some my quirkiness. I'm sorry about that. So I just need to, it's going to take a little while. Say yes to all that. It's going to go. So go back to the lower stress and take this guy and go back to the automated one and just put it there, shift it, and it's done. So that's it. Now I put everything inside. So I have to go to the retirement calculator here. Value of current equity investments. For me, all my mutual funds are equity, so I can afford to do this. If you have debt and equity, you have to separate them and then insert it carefully. So I'll go equal to, I'll go to this goal tracker page, and I'll say for retirement and the current value. This is just my equity mutual funds. Enter that, and now it's updated. So this is no longer an input. I'll just change the cell, make it yellow or something, so it tells me that's no longer an input. That's it's coming from the formula. So similarly, you can go to the summary page here, and you can say this is your EPF. Let's say you have 5 lakhs in it. This is my sum of 2. So this plus that, and I can go over to the RITCAL and say value of tax-free debt instruments, say equal to, go to the go to the summary sheet and go there, enter that, and now this also can be marked as yellow or something like that. So that's, so now it's all linked. So this calculator is now linked to your current corpus value, and therefore the insights that you get as you check it, you don't need to do it every month, but let's say every few months or once a year or whatever you like. The insight that you'll get is actually here. This is the insight, the monthly investment. This should come down, and as it comes down, let's say you are investing 25,000 for retirement, and the that value comes down to, let's say, 20,000, then you can actually reduce this now. So now it's 23, and once it comes down a little bit, you can put the number 5 here, so you can retire 5 years earlier, and so on. So you can play around with this until the monthly investment becomes zero. When it becomes zero, that basically means you are pretty much ready. When the monthly investment becomes zero, the net corpus to be accumulated will become close to zero or even negative. When that happens, that means you're basically very close to financial independence. Then you'll have to think about adjusting your asset allocation strategy and so on. This is not the only indicator of financial independence, but it tells you how close you are to it. So that this is how you can use these add-ons and insert it into the main tracker and play around with it. There are many more features of the goal tracker. There you can do, for example, you can compare mutual funds with any indices. You can add mutual, you can analyze the way in which the fund value is changed. You can look at how the retirement corpus has grown over time. You can club 2 or 3 mutual funds together and look at the calculate the CAGR or the XIRR, and you can calculate, for example, if you're going to make a redemption, you can calculate how much will be the tax to be paid. And you can also add closed-ended mutual funds, and finally you have a sheet in which you can add new records. A reader told me that he cannot add Motilal Oswal. I think it's some focus fund. So sometimes the names will be different. If you type Motilal, you may not get it, but you can type most here. But for that, before that, you have to do step one. I've already done it. You can type most here. Just hang on a moment until it finishes. Takes a little time, and then then if you type it, you can see all the funds here. So you can go over there and see it. But before that, of course, you'll have to retrieve the existing new database. So every time there are new funds introduced, you'll have to do this, choose the AMC, and then you can add, in this case it's Motila, you can add it to the database, and then you can start investing. So this is basically how I track my portfolio. It's not it's It might look a little cumbersome, but if you're a DIY, you will understand that it kind of gives you the pleasure of doing it yourself and getting unique insights that nobody else can do. So I hope it was of some use to you. Thank you. See you in another video. Bye bye.